Hey everybody, welcome to the Pancake Boat Podcast. I'm your host as always, Chad. This is my co-host, TF. How you doing tonight, TF?
It's kind of been a long past several days, but I mean, I'm just glad to be on here doing the podcast. I know I say that pretty much every week, but we have not been having good luck with the podcast recently. It's been like 3 weeks since we've actually had a podcast out, and a lot of that isn't really it isn't really our doing in a way. It's just been a lot of things going on that have prevented us from doing it, and then when we do one, there's some technical difficulties and it never gets up, and it's just...
I take full blame for this. Technically, it was 2 weeks ago when we did a show, and honestly, it was like one of the best shows we've ever done. And then the next day I go to edit it, and I realize there is no show because it didn't record. And it was just really unfortunate. I do take full blame for it. It was my fault, but I don't know, what can you do? These things happen, but it's definitely great to be doing a show again because it feels like it's been a month since we've done a show now.
It really almost has been a month since we've done a show. I mean, we've technically done a show, but it hasn't gotten up, and I know you take the blame for that, but I mean, I really don't see that as much of your fault. It's just kind of one of those things that happens. I mean, just a responsibility that you have. It's it's not always a nice one to have, but
I will say, and considering we've been doing this for a year and a half now, and that's the first time that's ever happened. At least that's only happened once. I mean, if this were something that happened often, and then it would be really discouraging. But the fact that it's only happened once, it's well, kind of stinks that we lost that show, especially with how good it was. But at least it was just a one-time thing that I'm going to make sure never happens again.
Yeah, I think it should be. It should be fairly easy now that it's happened to figure it out and to make sure that doesn't happen again. But just kind of sad that we had to lose one of our best shows ever to get that lesson. But oh well.
I'm really sad for questions too, because we did 5 random questions, and I honestly thought those were some of the best questions I've ever done. But
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's good. I don't want to hype up the show too much for people who haven't saw it, but I've listened to it, and because.
Yeah, we had Tom Hanks on as a special guest. We lost the show, but it was really great for everyone out there listening. Trust us. How you doing today, Joe?
It's been an interesting time, but I'm just glad to be on doing the podcast at this point. It pretty much does boil down to that. I mean, in a sense, it's frustrating, but at the very least, we did get to do that show, even if it didn't go up. At the very least, we did get to have fun with that, because that was a very fun show, and that doesn't mean tonight can't be a fun show. I'm definitely looking forward to making tonight a fun show again, and being able to just kind of catch up on things, and just be able to do a podcast and put it up and record this time, and, kind of get rid of all these problems, just have a good old-fashioned night of podcasting.
Yeah, because honestly, not only are we going to be catching up with you, the listeners, we're kind of catching up with ourselves, because we've had kind of a crazy week this past week. Joe's been gone with his internet issues, and I've just been this really weird sleep schedule where I've been barely even on the internet to talk to anybody, and T.S. been busy, doing what he does. So in a way, we're kind of catching up with each other tonight. So this definitely should be a fun show.
Yeah, definitely. I came on literally 20 minutes before we even got ready to do the show. So we really haven't caught up that much. So it is kind of a fun side factor of all of us just being able to catch up together. I always like that about the podcast. It kind of feels like it's kind of like that day where everyone gets together and just kind of catches up on what we've all been doing. And sometimes there's not a lot to talk about, sometimes there is, but I'm sure we all have at least 1 or 2 stories to tell about our past couple of weeks.
I definitely do. I think we should start with you, because we've had, I think you probably had the most hectic times.
Well, with me, it's just I do want to tell the story, I guess, but it's just kind of more of a technical story that really...
The never-ending technical...
Yeah, it's just you... Basically, what happened was, the signal's been going down, and, even our cable, itself went off, and part of that, I think, is just due to, kind of the wires are based outside, so basically, they're kind of I don't even want to say, behind the dirt, but they're kind of, hidden in there somewhere, and any little movement and stuff is going to mess us up. And, my stepdad does a lot of work outside, sometimes, for stuff we need, and sometimes just for the heck of it. I mean, it's just, if he messes, my sister's room is the master room, because it's near the satellite dish on the side of the house. And, he was working back there at one point. I forgot what he was doing. He was what was he doing? He was doing something that like didn't even make any sense. He was like cleaning out the backyard or something. He like just randomly messed up these wires, and it kind of like screwed up our whole signal because like our cable boxes went off and everything. And, we basically had to reformat the boxes. And when you do that, it kind of have to you have to get everything used to again. I mean, our boxes and the cable signal had to come back, and my internet had to come back. And that's about the time I think I came back the last time where we actually did that podcast again, and it was finally starting to come back, but. It just kind of started messing up again. And basically, I've been, offline for the past few weeks. And, you try and get on MSN, you try and get on Skype, you try and get on, Firefox and load anything up. To no avail, really. It's just like that icon on the bar where you have, like, your internet connection on the laptop. It basically is, like, with that yellow exclamation point, you're kind of just, you're at a loss because you go in there and you reset the modem and you just, nothing happens. So you kind of, it's kind of out of your hands in that sense. You kind of have to call the cable company and basically... Or not the cable company. See, I always get that mixed up because I'm so used to having the cable company as one thing because we used to have that at our old house. But it's basically AT&T, and you call AT&T and you get that messed up. You get that fixed up. You get the we had to get the cable people out here too for the satellite to get that fixed up. And you have all these people out here, and this isn't really the we talked about this in the show. It's not really like the most quietest house in the world. So there's always like people here, and it's always someone in the way. It's kind of hard to get these
kids running on the roof.
Exactly. That's probably what contributes to this too, because those kids are running on the roof, but there's like a satellite dish and wires there, and it's like, there's just so much hazard here that kind of can be expected that this is probably going to happen.
Like butt in here, but how is that even safe to like run around on a roof? Do you have like a flat roof or?
It's not a flat roof. I don't know, man. Honestly, I wish I could tell you more, but I'm just in my room, and sometimes I hear like.
And the adults are okay with this, or?
I guess so. I don't want to go on a tangent about our neighbors. I've done that before about the music and stuff, but they really aren't very cautious with their kids. I mean, my grandfather's truck used to be outside, like in the front, like by my window where I'm at, and like the next door neighbor's house, like right next door, were like this, kind of like a concrete like fence type of thing, but it's not really that huge. It's kind of like a wall, but it's like really short, like maybe like 2 feet. And like the kids would get on there and they like jump on the top of the truck and stuff like that, and they like jump from there to the floor, and it's like these are like
so wait, these aren't even people from your house on the roof.
I know. I was like about to ask the same thing.
No, I could go into this, but it's basically a very neighborhood where everyone does goes to their. I mean, there's kids like wander over to their like these little kids like that are. Like 1 or 2 years old that like walk and wander over to like the house with like no one watching them until finally someone gets them. They're like outside. I can see them outside the windows sometimes, just like standing there, like looking around. And I'm like,
how do they even get on your roof?
No, not the 1 or 2 year olds. Those aren't the ones on the roof.
Oh.
If you're talking about like the regular kids, I really don't know. I guess they, that wall I talked about actually does get like really big when you go to like the side of the house. I mean, I'm looking at that window right now because it's like right across from me, and it's kind of funny because like sometimes like. My cousins will come over, and we call them like Chad came with his nickname, the hooligans, because they're so mischievous. And they'll like climb up the top of that wall, and they'll like, be walking across it. They'll be like looking in the window, like shouting.
Well, see, that was who I thought you were talking about originally when you were talking about like, the kids from the roof. I had no idea it was just like random kids.
Well, they've actually done that too. It's just like everyone like seems to do that, and like I've actually heard like the hooligans like yelling from the roof, like to the floor, like hey down there and stuff like that. I'm like. I don't know. It's just a very weird place. I know it sounds weird, but it's just weird.
I did some crazy things when I was a kid, but I never like ran and like jumped on the neighbor's roof.
Yeah, like I can't say like. Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Don't people get mad that they're on your roof? Like,
well, they're my little brother's friends, so it's kind of one of those things, Like my little brother will ride his bike outside and he'll ride it like to the. To the neighbor. Like there's a neighbor. Like we live in a cul-de-sac. There's a neighbor across the street. And they kind of have like a long concrete driveway. So he'll like drive his bike on there, and it's just very different from like.
Please tell me they don't drive their bikes up on the roof.
No, I would hope not. I haven't seen that. I can't vouch that
they'd probably come right through that roof if they did that. It'd be like the Bobby's World scene.
But to me, that's kind of like a problem too. It's just you have all these people here, and they're not very careful about things, and sometimes like the modem is in the living room, so basically that's where guests go if they sleep. So if they want to like I told Chad this horror story once of how I went like there was a random Monday where I just went inside and like the whole internet was disconnected, like the whole modem and everything after I like spent hours reconnecting. Yeah, because like they had to like plug something in for I don't even know what it was. Like they had no reason to mess with that because it's in its own little place, but they did. And,
Oh, I imagine it being like some kind of drunken stupor that happened.
I don't know about that. I think they were just like plugging in like it was by the TV at the time, so they're probably plugging in like the Wii or something like that to play, and they just took off my plug. They're like, "Oh, we need a plug. We'll just plug it in there." And I'm like,
That is angering.
"It is." And now it really is frustrating because like if that modem goes off, it pretty much you have to readjust, reconnect. Like if you have to reconnect all those wires, it gets really tiring. You guys have. I'm sure I know GF has, and I know you have, Shaq, because you've even talked about that with me, but. When you mess with those wires and stuff, you get like all hot and sweaty and you feel all dirty. And when you do that constantly, like all the time, it's just frustrating. It's kind of like it's very stressful and like when you mess with those wires, like unplugging them and stuff. You look at your hands and have like this red spot on them from like unplugging, like uncorking those cables and stuff. It's just it's very demanding work and it's always been kind of frustrating. It's kind of like I didn't want to go on a rant here, but it basically is what it is. It's like having to reconnect everything and just when it goes off again, you're just really frustrated. And that's basically what happened here. Is they were going to send a guy out on Thursday, but it was raining and thundering, so they really can't do work out there. Obviously, that's a safety hazard, and I can tell you that no kids were on the roof that day, thankfully, because that would have been pretty disastrous if you're like on the roof in the rain. But essentially, they came out here yesterday and they worked outside. I really don't know to what extent because. Like people were here too, so I really didn't like mess around out there because I just feel so awkward. But I don't know these people, and they're like all over the place. And so basically, they told me to disconnect the internet for like 24 hours or a night and just kind of see where it goes. And that's where I'm at now. Is kind of coming back on, and thankfully it let me back on. Thankfully, websites are taking a while to load, but they do seem to load. So hopefully this just means we're back on track now, and we can get back to the podcast, get back to everything. That's been pretty much my crazy and hectic week. I really don't have too many stories other than that. There really isn't anything that interesting going on.
I'm thinking as far as like the websites go, like they're probably just like readjusting to the internet being on. What do you think, TF?
That's what I was thinking.
I really don't know. Maybe you might need to like clear out some these temporary internet files and stuff like that. Maybe
it's a good idea.
Maybe like flush the DNS and stuff. But I mean. I don't know. I'm sure he'll work it out.
Yeah, it's just very frustrating. I mean, it's been frustrating for you guys too. So I don't envy you, and I do want to like publicly apologize to the one who listens because even though that one show didn't record, the rest of the stuff is pretty much up to my internet. It's just it's frustrating. I hate leaving you guys in the cold. I hate leaving people who listen to the show in the cold because obviously they really do care about the show if they're listening. So I thank you for your patience, and hopefully you stick with us.
I think at this point we're just all happy, or at least excited to see you finally move after you're going to be moving houses in a few months.
Yeah, hopefully that's not too long from now. I mean, you know how it is with houses. You basically have to apply, and then you have to get approved, and after that you have to basically just have that waiting period where you wait for. I don't know what it is. It's something to do with the bank. I know my grandmother told me about that. It's something to do with the bank, but. Essentially it's just going to take time, but hopefully not that long. I mean, it's been like 2 years. We were supposed to move like 2 years ago, and it just never happened. So it is what it is. I don't want to talk too much more about that, though. It's just frustrating to talk about. I want to hear what you guys have been up to. Like, I want to hear your guys' stories. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time. And you've told me hints about yours, Chad, but I haven't heard like anything on TF or even the full story on you.
What do you think, TF? You want to go first, or should I?
I have not really had that interesting of a past few weeks. I mean,
you should probably go first, because at least then you could save like Chad for last. I'm sure he has a lot of interesting stories.
A few.
I would let Chad go first. I mean, I might have a few things to say, but I'm kind of curious. Like, I want to hear what this whole story, because I haven't really even heard the full story. I've heard some of it, but I'm curious.
Well, first of all, my week kind of started off depressing, or 2 weeks rather, because Joe's been gone, and him and I do a lot of stuff at night, like play video games and stuff. So when he's not around, it gets really boring. And I ended up falling into like a bad sleep schedule where, well, this is a normal sleep schedule to everyone else, where I woke up in the morning every day for like days, and I'd like go to bed at like 11 o'clock at night, and that's just really foreign to me. I know it, to everyone listening, that's like a normal schedule, but that's not normal for me. I'm used to being up all night and like sleeping in the afternoon, but I don't know, it wasn't that bad, because it's like, in a weird way, like I usually really dislike the afternoon, But when nothing's going on at night, it's like night becomes this kind of depressing time to me where I'm like wanting to do something else, but I'm just kind of like sitting there just looking for something to do. So the daytime in a way is just kind of, it's different at least. So, but I did finally break that schedule today. Other than that, I went to a wrestling show they had here in town at the Rec Center with Matt Hardy from WWE. He was there. And Bobby Lashley was there, and Virgil, who was he used to be around back in the WWE in the 80s. He's not really like a big star, and in fact, like there's like this internet joke where they have like this picture of him at a convention, and he's like sitting there at this booth that says like Virgil, wrestling superstar or something like that, and there's like nobody in line to go see him, and he has like this sad look on his face. And when I walked into the show, that was like the first thing I saw was him sitting at a booth with like Virgil, former WWE star, and he's like sitting at the booth with a sad look on his face because nobody's going to him.
I can help laugh at that, even though it's kind of depressing, just because.
I felt bad for him, but it was funny. Like Matt had like this huge line, and Lashley had like this pretty decent line. A lot of people went to go see Lashley, but then you look over at Virgil, and he's like, they didn't even put him by Matt and Lashley. They had like Matt and Lashley on like one side, and they had like Virgil like stuck in the corner of the whatever, just like sitting there. But the show itself was pretty fun. It went about 2 hours. I really wanted to go get a picture with Matt, but I couldn't really afford it because we're going to Chicago later this month, so money's like really tight right now. So I was just happy to even go. I went with my sister. We kind of hung around after the show ended, and like Matt was like taking pictures with people in the ring, so we just like stood by the ring, and he went out and he was like shaking hands with everyone, and he was talking to us all, so that was pretty neat. And I went home and I tweeted him. I said like, great match tonight, and he tweeted me back, so it was neat getting to meet him and all that. I do wish I would have got a picture, but yeah, what can you do? Other than that, I did have like this one experience with a girl that I kind of debated whether I should talk about this here on the show or not, but we've talked many times here on the show about how none of us are really that good at dating, as in none of us have ever really dated before. But yeah, I've been joining like dating sites this year just because I'm kind of frustrated with not dating anyone. So I know some people like look down on dating sites. They're like, oh, that's for really desperate people. But you know, I'm desperate, so I joined one. I was on OkCupid, and I noticed that this girl had looked at my profile, and I'm like, whoa, there's a girl in this town, and she actually looks decent. And that's like, I guess how low my standards are. Just I don't want to insult the girl. I'm just saying, like, my standards are like really. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, I was just happy to see a girl like viewing my profile.
I mean, it makes.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I was just saying. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's kind of like, wow, I may as well go for this because if it's something you never really see, I mean, you kind of got to jump on the opportunity in a way. I mean, if anything, I kind of see that as you know, something positive because it kind of gets just swept under the rug a lot. But that really is it's kind of a hard thing to do to make the first move. I mean, I don't think guys get enough credit for that. Although I mean, it's not like most guys deserve the credit, but but still, it's harder than it would seem.
It's really hard. It's always been really hard for me to talk to girls, but at this point, I'm kind of like had this mentality where I'm like, screw it. If I don't try, I'm never gonna go anywhere. So I did send her a message, and she responded back. Like, it was like really simple at first, like, oh, I'm Chad, and she like gave me her name, and I like kept trying all day to start a conversation with her. And to her credit, she always responded. She was like really nice with that. But she always responded with like this really simple stuff to where you couldn't really make a conversation out of. Like, I'd be like, oh, so you work at the whatever, or that's pretty neat. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so what do you do there? And she like gave like 3 or 4 words about what she does. And I'm just kind of lost about what to do here. I'm like, okay, you viewed my profile, but you don't have anything to say. So should I just give up here? Or is she not interested? And that kind of got to me because I'm like, I don't know, like I said, I've kind of gotten to this point where I'm like, just kind of really want to date someone. I really want to finally experience that. I think it's kind of sad that I'm 26 now and I haven't done that yet, but I was kind of just feeling down on myself. Like, well, here this girl was actually like looking at my profile, but then like I actually made the move. I actually tried and it didn't pay off, and I'm just kind of like, well, this is discouraging. But I don't know. I guess to be honest, it didn't really seem like we had that much in common anyway, so it's not like a huge loss. But it's like, I don't know. It just kind of got to me that I actually put myself out there and tried and didn't get rewarded for it. You know, it's like it's not that you should always expect a reward for something or that you should expect everything to go perfectly, but it's like they always tell you that you need to make the first move. You know, you need to get out there, you need to try things. What they don't necessarily tell you is that it's not always going to happen on the first try. So when you actually do try it, it's kind of discouraging when it doesn't work out. But I don't know. I am at least happy that I tried. I don't really know what else to say. You guys have anything to say about that?
Well, you know, I had a profile on there for a little while. I mean, just kind of for the heck of it, and you know, I thought it was kind of interesting, but I don't know. I can't really see myself getting into online dating. It just seems kind of, in a way, even though it's kind of easier to meet a lot of people, it just seems kind of more awkward than even just interacting with someone in like, say, a restaurant or something. And you know,
Yep. The thing that really does appeal to me about the dating sites is you at least know that they're single, and you at least like can kind of like get a feel. Whereas like if you're like walking through a store, I don't really just want to walk up to some random girl and be like, "Oh, hey, you dating anybody? Want to go out?" I'd feel like I'm a creep or something. It just would feel weird, especially because you never know if you might be like hitting on some 14-year-old or something that just looks really mature for her age. It's like at least dating sites can kind of avoid that kind of thing.
Yeah. It is the internet, though. I mean, I got to be fair there. It is the internet. You never know if they're actually that age.
Like, you don't, but
they could legitimately lie.
But at least the thing is, you can if you say something like, "Oh, I didn't know that she was like 15" or something, you can have like a legitimate.
That's very true.
A legitimate like case there, because when you sign up, you have to like confirm that you're actually 18, and if someone is lying about that, then it's not really your fault. So I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably got rid of my profile simply because most of the people who were interested in me were these like biker women and whatnot, and like I have no idea what it is with like biker women and me, but like I didn't want to get any of these women's hopes up because, you know, it kind of was more of a thing I just did to see what it was like, you know, because I'd never done anything like that before, and it's not really my thing, but you know,
it's your Latino heat that attracts to biker women.
I definitely don't have anything against, you know, online dating or anything, but it's not for me.
Dating is just so lost on me, though. It's like I don't know how people do it. I just have no idea. Granted, I know you guys probably don't either, so it's not like either of you guys can really have an answer for me, but it's just, can you guys relate to this? It's like you want to put yourself out there, you want to date someone, but it's just so hard to know how. It's so hard to know how to go about it. It's like, do you just sit around and wait for the perfect person to come into your life in the perfect situation and just hope that it all works out, or what?
I think you're just thinking too much into it. You're thinking of like, you know, all these what ifs. You really just got to try it. I mean, like, I'm not saying that from like a lot of experience, but at the same time, it's like you just like, really, what do you have to lose if you do try? Like I know that girl's like was kind of discouraging, but at least you tried. I mean, you know, at least you tried something. You know, at least, you know, it didn't go like even though you said that she like did these one-word responses, she did respond every time. It wasn't like she was like, oh, you know, I'm not going to respond, or I don't want to talk to this guy. You know, she did try and talk, and as simple as it was kind of progress in a way. You kind of realize, I mean, I'm not saying it's right to be like, okay, screw it, you know, I'm just going to message whoever, but at the same time, it's like that mindset is kind of somewhat right in the sense that, you know, you should be just that carefree. I mean, you know, if this is the person for you, obviously it's going to work out. If it's not, then it's just not going to work out. But at the very least, like I said, you've tried. You know you tried. So, you know, as long as you know you've done all you can, then really you didn't lose anything. You may not gain anything you want to gain, but
that's a good way.
At least you didn't lose.
One big thing about online too, and as opposed to doing it, say in some real life situation, is that you never have to see this girl again. So if any awkward things go down, you guys can be perfect strangers again. That's a big plus, at least in my opinion.
Although, I mean, I do live in a small area, so you never know if she might see me somewhere and be like, "Oh, that's the guy that was like being a creep or something."
Well, at least
That's
you know where
true.
she works to avoid that.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. But if you were actually creepy to her, I don't think she would respond. I mean, there's no like clause when you sign up that you have to respond to people.
Wasn't being creepy whatsoever, but there's like this weird thing where like if you're like a guy in your 20s or something, like anything you do, like even looking at a girl can be perceived as creepy these days. It seems.
The guy in your 20s, I don't know about that. Maybe like in your 30s or 40s, but 20s. To me, that's not really that creepy unless you're actually like legitimately doing that. Like I'm picturing like someone standing there just like with these creepy eyes in the shadows or something like that. So I don't think that's you.
Didn't do that.
I don't think that's you. So I mean, even this is just online dating. It's not like it's not like you're actually in person doing this. You're just like she viewed your profile first. So to me, that's fair game to actually like respond.
You know, the peeping Tom thing you're talking about kind of reminds you of something funny like I was watching on TV earlier on. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf, but I never saw that before.
Is that the window where he's like looking in the window and he sees something like he's not supposed to?
Like basically the whole movie is just about him like on house arrest, like peering out the windows at people and like watching girls undress.
It was actually like a remake of some old Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yeah, well, I just was saying, like, I never saw that movie before, so it was kind of hilarious seeing, like, Shia LaBeouf, like, watching these girls undressed through, like, these windows and all that, and, like, some guy cheating on his wife, and it just reminded me of that when you said about, like, every guy in his 20s is creepy looking out their window, yet, like, that girl, like, sees him, like, staring at her out the window and ends up, like, hanging out with him, and it's like, that is, like, the total opposite of reality.
Maybe they like creepy. I don't know.
Some do, obviously, but
I think you look too much into it. I think you just gotta look less into it and just try. I mean, don't worry about what people think of you. Just worry about being you and just doing what you do. I mean,
easier said than done.
It is,
really.
But I think it's easier said than done because you do think too much into it. I think you just gotta think less into it and think less about, what am I going to say to this girl more so than just doing it. I mean, like I said, I don't have like a bunch of experience I'm talking off of, but at the same time, it's like it's just like talking to one of us. You got to treat it the same way because obviously if you're going to date someone, they're going to be kind of like your friend. They're going to be kind of like someone you can relate to and talk to like that. So you got to kind of have to approach it like that. I mean,
that is actually very true.
In a general sense, it's kind of like meeting a new person. You're like those one-word responses may have been kind of awkward, but that doesn't even mean she wasn't interested. Just like think about it. You were the same way. You're like, this is kind of hard to know what to talk about. Maybe for her it was the same way. Maybe for her it was kind of awkward to know what to talk about. I mean, there are a million different ways to interpret it. I mean, I'm not even like an optimistic person just because of the way love can go sometimes. But at the same time, you just never can doubt. You never can just stop trying. That's all you got to do is keep trying.
It's always weird to me when I'm like the one that has to like lead a conversation, which is funny because I'm actually not that bad at it, but like I think because I'm so nervous, I like think of myself as this like really antisocial person, and I'm really not that bad. But
yeah, see, that's kind of the thing is that if you think that about yourself, and that's how you're gonna present yourself, you're gonna come off like that because that's how you're thinking. You're like, oh, she probably thinks I'm this creepy guy, and that's how you're gonna be approaching it, watching what you say and wording it this way and that way. And you're not going to give anyone a chance to see who you really are because you're going to be behind that wall of, well, what if she thinks this is creepy or that's creepy? Instead, you got to just let yourself go and just, show your personality because we've seen it on the show. We've seen it being your friend. We know what your personality is, and it's a good personality. It's just a matter of.
Well, you kind of have it in your mind that like first impressions are everything. But now that you brought up like that friend thing, it's funny because like the three of us are like brothers. And I remember, like, the first time I talked to Joe, I don't even remember. You asked me what my nickname even was. And I think my first impression of TF was thinking he was like Henry Winkler. So,
see, so
but,
it's like
one thing though. I think I agree with everything that Joe said. Especially, I mean, when you think about it, I think that if you're worried about coming off as a creep, you're more likely to come off as a creep just because you're going to look like you're kind of either hiding something or you're nervous about something. And
that's true.
I just think that whenever you can just totally be laid back and be yourself, that's when you're always going to be at your best, just kind of communicating with someone else.
I definitely agree with that. I just wish there was an easier way of getting things out of your head because, like I said, it can be easier said than done. Like, it's like everything that Joe said is totally right. Everything that you just said is totally right. But when you're in that situation, you're just terrified.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not acting like I would do a better job. I'm not insinuating that at all.
But, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I tried. I'm glad I at least tried. It didn't really work out, but I don't know if I'd really call it a failure either. It was just kind of something that happened.
It's experience. You learn one way, and now next time you try, maybe you try something different, or you try and just project yourself more. I don't know, but it's always an experience. You always get an experience off of it. That's the one thing you get with anything. You get experience off of it, and you learn better. You learn, maybe next time you put some of this into practice, maybe you try better. I don't know. It's just, at least, for all the trouble you talked about how you don't really know how to talk to girls that well, at least you actually, been trying lately to actually get something going on. That in itself is kind of like an obstacle, kind of just getting used to that. I mean, the more you do that, the more comfortable you'll probably feel actually doing that, and the less maybe that's how you get it out of your head, is just trying to get it done more often, so where you can get used to it and kind of, actually know what you're doing and actually be able to speak to these people.
That's true. Other than that, not really much. I went to Walmart, but like, it's funny. Like I think of like the past week as like fairly eventful for me, but when I actually like talk about it on the podcast and I said like, oh, I went to Walmart, doesn't sound all that exciting.
But, it's because anyone can go to Walmart. I mean,
yeah.
And the difference, it's kind of like me too. I could probably say like I went here or I went there, but at the same time, it's like
a big deal to us. It's like a big deal to go to Walmart when we don't really do that much. So when we actually go to like a store like Walmart or something, it's like this like. It's almost like I don't want to say it's like going to Disney World or something. It's like a highlight of the week.
I'm picturing like Roseanne now, where like John Goodman's like running through the Disney World park because he's so happy to be there. Picturing like you running through Walmart,
like a Walmart parking lot.
Oh man, that's a visual.
But yeah, that was my week. What about you, TF? Best for last, or?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, I've just kind of had the usual busy week, maybe a little more busy than usual, just because I've been doing a lot of shopping, kind of preparing for fall and winter, because, I mean,
great time of the year.
Fall is definitely here. I mean, it's pouring rain right now. It's windy and it's just kind of stormy, which is
that doesn't so great.
As you learned in Chicago last year, that's fall in this region. But so I mean, it's been an adjustment, like getting used to the weather and the changes. I mean, I had a pretty bad cold last week. It took me about a little over a week to get over, and that kind of kept me pretty miserable because you know how busy I am, and life isn't going to wait on me. So I kind of had to just suck it up, for lack of a better word. And
that does not sound fun.
It went okay. It went better. I feel like it kind of toughened me up a little bit. I actually got over it quite a bit quicker than I usually do. So I guess, make what you will of that. But
maybe your immune system is getting stronger.
Maybe. I mean, you never know. It kind of is better to stay active, but I didn't really overdo it or anything. So I guess that's a big thing. But
those Australian flus, man, they toughen you up.
Yeah, they do. And I like I said, I've been doing some shopping, kind of just getting prepared for the weather, and it's. I think that one of the weird things, though, is kind of like you said, we've been talking about the week, just the fact that we've kind of all been disconnected from each other. You've been off on doing your own things, and Joe's been gone, and like really the only time we talked was like when I got home from taking my sister to work. I'd be talking to you, and I remember
we talked like twice this week.
Yeah, and that one of them was actually kind of hilariously enough. We both came on at like 5 a.m. on like the Canadian Thanksgiving, and we were like, hey, it's like we're, like on American Thanksgiving, we're both here at 5 a.m. for no reason.
I know, that was very weird. We just like woke up at 5 a.m. on the Canadian Thanksgiving.
It's like our bodies just kind of have, I don't even know. It's like some internal clock or something that when it's Thanksgiving, it doesn't matter where it is around the world. We just kind of have to, just kind of wakes us up. But yeah, I mean, it's not been the same without the podcast. I'm really glad to get the podcast going again, and there's not really a whole lot more than that to talk about. But I'm feeling good about the podcast tonight, and hopefully our show is half as good as it was the other week, which we we'll never be able to listen back to. But I'm ready to get things going. I think that
at least we have our memories.
Yeah, I think we'll have a good week tonight. So I'm in a positive mood. I'm not going to dwell on the weeks past, which have been a little hectic for all of us. But things are looking up now, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, you mentioned that we're all kind of feeling distant, and I don't like that. It's like very new. It's like very new to me because I feel like I don't know. I just feel like all these forces for the past few weeks have been kind of like pulling us all in different places, and it's not really like we're going on to like do new things and we're like kind of becoming distant or anything. It's just that like we're just kind of like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a good like way to put this. It's like
predisposed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it's just very weird. What do you think, Joe?
I can kind of see that. I definitely get what you mean. It's kind of weird. Just like even before the show started, we're kind of waiting to get started. You and I were like sitting here, and we're like awkwardly silent. We're like, it should be like a lot easier to know what you're supposed to say, but when you're like distant like that, it's kind of like, it's like you wonder what you even say. It's like you feel like.
To be fair, we have talked a bit on Xbox this week.
That is true. But I mean, it feels like you have so much like you should be able to say or catch up on, but then you really think about it, and you're like, we don't. It's just kind of weird there, but.
I think because we're just so used to jumping into things. Like when you're on, it's like we just jump into like whatever we do, like the podcast or whatever else. It's like that's just kind of like what we do.
That's true. Plus, you really like, in a sense, you really like. I'm sure with your story, you're kind of like, I want to tell it because it's a fun story. Not a fun story, but it's kind of like a story to tell. But the same
fun story of rejection and sadness.
At the same time, it's kind of like. You really don't want to talk about it because you've already maybe even talked about it a lot, or you just really don't want to think about it. Like me and my net, I was kind of like, yeah, I'll talk about it because it's been kind of a big issue, but it's like I've been so frustrated about it. I think I really don't want to talk about it a lot because it's like frustrating. It's like, I think in a sense it's kind of like that. I mean, we all kind of have those frustrating parts of our lives right now, and in a sense, I guess that's adulthood in a sense. I mean, it's weird to say that because I know we're not really like you said, we're not jumping into anything big, but. At the same time,
this has been a pretty crummy year, let's be honest. Like this year started out, and I remember being really upset with myself for that 2011 end show that we did, where you guys were talking about your positive 2011s, and I was sitting here feeling sorry for myself, and I was like, okay, 2012's coming, I'm gonna make the best of this year. And to be fair, attitude-wise, I think I have for the most part, but it's this has been a really crummy year in a lot of ways for all of us.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it is just that. There are a lot of places in our lives that we kind of want to go now, and we're getting older, and that
frustrated. And we want to be somewhere else.
To a lot of the extent, it's not even really our fault because we kind of have a lot of people who either just want us around or depend on us, and it's kind of hard to step back and say hey, I mean it's time for me to take care of me instead of kind of just being there for other people, and I think that it's kind of a decision that it's kind of something that everyone handles differently, and everyone has a different time when they decide that it's best to kind of move their own ways. And I think that we're just kind of at that point where we're feeling like, hey, it's just about our time, and that we kind of need to move forward. And I know it's not going to please everybody, and people are probably it's going to be hard, but not just for us, but for the people around us. And
it really is weird how we're all in that same spot, really, basically.
Yeah, I just think that it's something that is going to be happening sooner than later, just because of how things have been going lately, and how we're kind of at that point. We're kind of at that point in life where
feels like it's building up.
It's time, yeah. It's our time is soon. I really believe that, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. I know it's going to be different, and it's going to be kind of it's going to be an interesting journey, but it's not far off.
I feel like it's almost like a movie where we reach the point where we're all kind of we're all in I don't want to say sad situations, but we're all in kind of despair, and then we're all waiting for that big happy ending in the movie where we all come together and just kind of find whatever we've been looking for.
That really is kind of how it is. It's we've kind of paid our dues, and it's we're anxious to be able to kind of just interested and interested in finding ourselves, and I think we will.
When I think about it though, it's not always the worst thing in the world, because like when I think about like this podcast in itself was launched because I was like offline and you were like looking for something to do, and you were like, let's start a podcast. And
that's true.
Actually, as a funny story, I don't even know if you probably have told us in the podcast, but you guys like had that Taylor Swift mishap that I was gone for, like that MTV thing that actually got mentioned on.
Yeah.
So, and even that OK Cupid thing. I'm not saying maybe it would have happened if I was here, but like with you being bored, maybe you're like, was this a subconscious thing? Like, wow, you know what, this girl's on here, she viewed my profile, let me try this. Everything's kind of down right now.
That's actually a good point. It's almost like
sometimes
these
you try
things
harder.
happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes these things happen just to kind of give you a little push, and then I don't know, just kind of, like you said, to kind of give us a little push to do things we wouldn't have normally done, like the podcast or whatever.
I just kind of noticed that when I was like thinking about it, because like we talked about that before. When I thought about when I was like offline, I was like thinking about how like it really has kind of like pushed the bar with some stuff, because like in a sense it just pushes all of us to kind of do something different and be better. It just kind of like it opens up new opportunities. I guess it makes us think outside the box of what we have to do. So. I
think what it means is that we should start pushing ourselves to do more, without having to be forced to. It's like we should be looking for things to, or at least, even just small ways where we can improve our lives or work towards where we want to be. We should be, looking for those things instead of getting to the point where we have to because we have nothing else to do.
Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, I think that's kind of a lesson that anyone should have, but it's kind of like what you say. It's like, sometimes it's easier said than done, but at the same time, it's like it shouldn't stop you from trying. Like I definitely agree with that. Yeah, you got any thoughts?
Well, I totally agree with that. I think that I mean, honestly, I'm kind of trying to work towards that myself. I mean, I'm not. It's not really so much that I'm just not doing anything. It's just there's not a lot within my power at the moment to actually.
Yeah, that's definitely.
I hear you, man.
I think that's the big thing. That's the.
We're all there right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that things are going to get rolling here pretty soon, and we're all going to kind of learn the ropes together, and I think that'll be fun.
I think so too. I think I don't know if it'll be a year. Maybe it'll be a year. Maybe it'll be 2 years. But I think at some point we're all going to be out there. We're all going to be enjoying life, and everything that we've been through, it's all going to have been for a reason.
I totally agree. I think everything, eventually, has a reason behind it, and there's a reason for everything. And I think that life in general is kind of just, a big set of dominoes, and just one tiny action can kind of just set off something a lot bigger, and it all leads towards something bigger, and it's kind of like a snowball effect. Like one tiny little push could lead to something that goes on and on and on, and just gets bigger and kind of affects more than just you. And I think that's kind of what it's going to be like for all of us. It's going to be something that doesn't just affect us; it's going to affect all of our lives. And I think that's a unique situation to be in.
So outside of life, you guys been watching anything? You watch anything new on TV or anything this week? How about I'll start with you, Joe.
New as in new shows, or just new as in just watching anything really? Because
just watching anything really.
Going back to an old show, it's kind of like watching Drake and Josh and Netzy Classified on Team Nick, and just kind of out of boredom. On the afternoon they're kind of on, so I was watching them, and Nick shows just feel a whole lot different to me when I see previews for iCarly, which don't get me wrong, it looked like an okay show, but just the feel of it just looks so different. And looking at some of those shows, they were actually a lot more deeper than I thought. I was going to bring this up when we were going to podcast I think last week or maybe the week before that, but Nancy Classified actually is a lot more deeper of a show than I thought. A lot more random too. So going back and seeing that, it's actually kind of one of those things where you go back and you kind of get more out of it than you did probably at the time. And in terms of
what was deep?
What?
What was deep on there?
Well, they basically had a lot of relationship issues and stuff. I knew they had it before, but it was just kind of when I thought that whole Ned and Rose triangle, you see all those hints they threw at the time, and you when you look back, when you were watching, you kind of saw them, but you never really got too into it. But the whole situation is kind of very relatable in a teenage drama sort of way, more than I would have thought. like Ned and like Mose had like these other people, and they kind of like they liked each other inside, and it kind of grew to that. To me, it was kind of like a great love story. You know, when I talked to you earlier about that whole friend thing, that actually kind of spawned that because it made me think about that. It made me think that, you know, when you do find true love, it is with a person that probably is like a best friend to you. So I'm not saying it will be your best friend, but at the same time, it's like eventually you will grow to this person to be a best friend because they, you know, you could feel deeply, you could like someone just for who they are, but at the same time, you got to have something deeper than that. Like I got that out of that show, so that tells you how much I got out of that. But that's kind of
that was a really well written show.
It was like I kind of underrated that because you know you kind of think of it as this fun show that you just watch for fun, but when I started watching it just because I was offline and I started getting more into it, I was like, wow, this is actually a lot deeper of a show than I would have thought. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff too. I wish I could remember. It was like fresh on my mind a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately, they changed up their week schedule, so I haven't like seen as much of it. But that's definitely kind of been my feel. I mean, I'm trying to think of other shows I've watched, but nothing really. I mean, I was supposed to watch like Supernatural and stuff, but unfortunately, I told you I DVR'd that first episode when the cable went off and I had to reset everything. Like the DVR got wiped, so I actually never got to see that. And I think Glee was on the DVR too. Like I guess my mom recorded that or my sister, and I didn't see that either because that got wiped too. But
I've been watching that lately, but it wasn't on this week. So I guess they're on break for now. But I have been watching Supernatural. I've been really kind of hot and cold on this season. Like it started out kind of like I had like high expectations because they did like that thing where like Dean's gone for a year, and then like you're always like excited to see like what him and Sam do when they finally see each other again. This is actually kind of a side topic I want to talk about here, but even though I would not actually want to go a year without talking to you guys, I am really fascinated by the idea of like one of us going away for a year and then coming back just to see how that first interaction would be. You know what I mean?
I think it would be really interesting, and I mean, just kind of catching up on things. I realize that we wouldn't probably have as much to catch up with as some people would, but I think that would be pretty interesting. I would never want to go like a year. I mean, I kind of almost did at one point just because of the whole not having the internet back in 2010. But I would.
At least we knew where you were, though.
Yeah,
like,
but
what I'm thinking is like one of us just disappears off the face of the earth. Yeah, like we just like disappear off the face of the earth for a year, and then we come back, and all of a sudden like there's like all these questions, like where have you been? What's going on?
You'd probably think I died really at that point.
Probably.
I remember I was gone for like 2 weeks, and Tiep was like, I didn't want to think the worst, but you know, come from where I come from, like if you're gone like 2 weeks, that kind of makes you think the worst. But like I can't imagine a year. I remember like in 2003, there was like that time that I was gone for like the whole summer that one time because like my old computer got like a virus. I'm sure Chad remembers that period.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I like was gone for like a whole summer. I mean, I just remember that just because it was like such a long time. It was like I think I went like in July. I got like shut down because of a virus. Like I remember this because I came back from a Raw one night. I was like uploading pictures, and all of a sudden I had like this virus, and I couldn't get on the computer, and like I tried restarting it, it wasn't working. And I was like, you know, well, hopefully we'll get this figured out. And it was like months went by, and you know, nothing could be done. You know, it wasn't like now where you had all these programs. It was back in 2003, so it was a lot more primitive. And you know, eventually I think I'm trying to remember what it was, but it was like this really. It wasn't even like a factory computer. It was like this computer that like my aunt got a deal on from like this guy that was selling them. So you had to like track him down. He lived like in like an entirely different place of California. So you had to like get him down.
This sounds kind of interesting.
Sounds kind of shady.
It like it's not shady in a sense, but it was like kind of a guy who builds computers in that sense. He kind of like builds them and sells them, so you kind of have like track them down. You know, it's not like dealing with like Microsoft or Dell. You know, it was just a computer.
So basically, some guy built this computer and gave it to you.
He sold it to us, but like I guess he was someone my aunt knew. I really don't remember because it was so long. It was like almost 10 years ago now, but you know, essentially I just remember like eventually we had to get that guy, and eventually he like fixed it. But actually, I don't even think he fixed it. I think we had to like get a whole new computer because it was like so far gone. And you know, by the time I came back, I just remember like that week because I remember like I had just started school. Like I was like, was it? It was either I think it was sophomore year, and I like started like PE, and I just remember because like we had this assignment I was doing like Monday, and I was like so bored. I actually did that assignment the same day, so I was bored enough to actually do my homework on in one day. That's how bored. Like I guess now it isn't even as bad because at least I have stuff to do. But back then I had like nothing. I was like really bored, and I was like anxious to go to school just because I had something to do. Like that tells you how bored that time period was.
And this would never happen these days because I think we're really close. But back then, that hiatus that you went on that summer, in a lot of ways, like we didn't even really talk after that for a while. It's like we were really close in 2002, and then like that whole thing happened to you in 2003, and I was like hanging out with TF and everyone on Sitcoms Online at the time. And it's like for the next 2 years we'd like talk about wrestling every once in a while, but it's like we never really talked that much till 2005.
We kind of went in different ways. That's why. I mean, I came back kind of like in the old ways that we were, and you kind of like had moved on to like Sitcoms Online. So it's kind of like we were in two different places at the time, and it was just kind of it was kind of a weird period. It was very weird. I mean, when I think back to that, it's kind of just funny that we actually like managed to actually get back to where we were just because of that. Like how weird it was.
Yeah, it's like for 2 years, all we really did was like talk about. I barely even remember it, but it's like we would like talk about wrestling every once in a while, just to kind of like. It's like we still cared what the other thought about what was going on in the world of wrestling, but that's like all we ever talked about.
Well, at that time, I mean, like you were in Sitcoms Online. I think honestly I did like sitcoms back then, but I don't think I was like as huge of a thing. I mean, you guys were like writing fanfics and stuff, and that stuff was very new to me. I mean, I did like.
I think you were still like e-fatting at the time too, which that was kind of like a subculture, to be honest.
Yeah, I did like role playing and stuff, and to me it was like your fanfics and stuff. To me, that was like a whole different territory than what I was used to, and to you were done with everything else that I was doing. So I was like.
I wanted to distance myself as far away from like the e-fatting world as possible after that whole Carly situation.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and it was just two different people in two different periods, and eventually, how did we even like get back to that? I mean, we never actually
we started the site.
Go ahead.
I think we started this site called Wrestling Wars in 2005 because we were both bored and it kind of like brought us back together.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was something we would have covered on the Back to the Past podcast, but we never actually got to 2003. So to me, it was kind of like we never actually got to tell that story. So to me, it was actually kind of interesting to. Like, I remember that now. I remember what you were saying, but you said that was like 2005, and we were talking like 2003, so it was like a good long while.
The only thing I remember really from those years is I have like this vivid memory of 2004 when Eddie Guerrero won the title, and you like let me watch on your webcam, which was really primitive, and I was like sitting on MSN like talking to you, and I was like looking in the corner at like this very blurry vision of like Eddie like facing Brock Lesnar for the title.
I remember like you watched the Royal Rumble too, because I remember you were like, "This is crap. I can't see anything." I'm like, "Wow, what can I do?" It's like a webcam, man. It's kind of funny because now if I like webcam, it wouldn't be like as blurry. I mean, it wouldn't be like perfect quality, but it'd be a lot better than that, to say the least.
Technology was very primitive back then compared to now.
Oh yeah, that's definitely why I said like even just tracking that guy down and fixing that virus. Like now that probably wouldn't even be a problem because most programs can do that for you, and if they can, you could take it like the. I don't think my computer's, like, my laptop's covered anymore because that, kind of expired, but you have, like, the Geek Squad and stuff like that you could take it to anyways.
But going back to TV, yeah, I watched Supernatural, and I also randomly last night, I was so bored, I was flipping through the channels, and I watched, like, this Disney Channel movie for the first time in a long time, like, this... You ever heard of that Girl vs. Monster movie?
Yeah, that was actually the premiere, I believe, of the movie.
Did you see that?
I had it on. Like I knew they were going to be rerunning it, so I wasn't paying that close attention because I kind of was like having some time home to myself for a while and just catching up with things. But like I did see some of it. I had it on in the background, so
it was pretty fun. I liked it. I didn't even like know anything about it going into it, but I was like I said, I was bored and flipping through the channels, and I saw like Girl vs. Monster, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And I was like watching it. It was pretty good. It was like this girl who was like she came from like this family of monster hunters, and she like all these monsters got loose, so it was pretty interesting. But other than that, like I haven't really watched that much TV. The Green Arrow show started this week, but I DVR'd it. I haven't actually watched it yet. But other than that, I watched wrestling. Not much to say there other than the usual crap. But yeah, what about you, TF? You watch anything interesting this week?
Oh, this past week has been so busy. I haven't really had a lot of a chance to, but I have a feeling that this coming week I'm going to have a lot of time to just kind of watch all the stuff I haven't had a chance to yet. And one thing I thought was kind of weird though, like you said about how some of the shows like just randomly didn't have an episode last week. I noticed that actually like, Modern Family didn't have an episode last week before last, and I was just kind of thinking like, wow, it's like 2 weeks into the season, there's already like a night where there's nothing on.
I know, isn't it usually like November when they first take those breaks? It's just like really random timing.
I just thought that too, and then they had two episodes randomly this week, and I don't know. I mean, it seems like everything's kind of haywire this season, all around. But yeah, this week I'm kind of gonna catch up with everything that I've missed so far, and that'll be fun. I usually do that, kind of marathon things once. Like if I miss like a week or two, I wait until there's like a few more episodes to watch, and then I catch up on it all. So I'll probably be doing that this week, but.
That sounds fun.
I mean, it's kind of just been a haywire past few weeks, so
I'm anxious for you to catch up on Glee because you actually got me into that show, and I've been watching it this season, and there's like very mixed thoughts on how it is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've kind of been trying to find some way to watch. I think it was the second episode of this season because. For some reason, I don't have it. Like I don't know what happened there, but like I'm trying to find some place where I can like watch that online or something because like
Hulu maybe.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna Google it, but that's really the only thing that's been stopping me because I wanted to watch them in order, and that one was just kind of missing. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, so probably next week I'll be kind of talk about that, share our thoughts, but
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that, but other than that, not too much on the subject of TV for me this week.
It's kind of funny you guys like gravitate, like you guys are good in that. You gravitate to like the newer shows. I always gravitate towards stuff I already watched, like Ned and stuff like that, or like even the Leprechaun was on there and I watched that as goofy as that movie is. And
for some reason, I just never watch reruns of stuff anymore. I don't know. It's like I don't really watch TV that much in general anymore. So it's like whatever I do watch, I just want to watch new stuff, or sometimes I like to watch stuff that's not really new, but I never really watched before, and I'll like catch up with on Netflix. Like I've been doing that with like the older seasons of Glee, and I spent like a couple months like watching Psych on there, which is like another show I've gotten into. So. It's actually funny because I was like running out of shows to even watch, and now I'm like loaded right back up again. I found 3 shows this year that I've gotten into. It's Glee, Psych, and Teen Wolf. So I'm good again.
Yeah, you're all set.
Well, that's good. I know it kind of stinks when you don't have any shows to watch anymore. Like after they all go away, I kind of felt like that for a little while when Chuck ended. I felt like all the shows that I had been into recently were ending, but.
Yeah, that was a big one for me too, Chuck. Which has surprisingly been over for over a year now.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe, but wow. Time flies by.
I'm not really sure what else there is to catch up on. I think we've pretty much covered anything. Can you guys think of anything else you want to throw in there?
I really wish I could. I'm trying to like. I feel like, it's like when we start talking, I feel like there's like a million things we could probably like catch up on, but I can't like think of one thing off the top of my head.
And I bet we'll think of all of them after the show ends too.
Yeah, probably.
Actually, Joe, there's something I never actually told you before, but you remember that Fire Pro game they were going to have on Xbox?
Yeah, I do.
That's actually on there now, and I tried it, and it's really, really bad. It's like...
Wasn't it like avatars, like fight with your avatar?
Yeah, it's like they have like your avatar, and you do like these really stupid, crazy, insane moves. Like remember that Def Jam game? I don't know if you ever played it.
I do remember that game. I've never played it, I remember it.
It's like you pick someone up to like a jackhammer, and then you like fly up to the roof like 70 feet in the air, and then you like come crashing down. That's the kind of stuff that you see on that game. I played like one match, and then I'm like, I'm never playing this again.
That's surprising to me. Like, it's Fire Pro, so you expect like this realistic simulator, but
they have the demo up. I don't know if you can. I don't know if your internet's working any better on there, but if you download the demo, you can play like one match. But it's like I would not advise buying it. It's not very good.
How much did it cost? Like, you actually bought it?
No, I did. I just tried the demo.
How much did it actually cost? Like, how many points do you?
It's like 800 points.
Wow, I thought that'd be like cheaper than that because
it is not worth it. Like even
avatars,
like even the other Fire Pro, like it wasn't really my thing, but it's like at least it was a real life like simulator to where it like felt like a real wrestling game. This is just I can't see anybody liking this. Maybe 4-year-olds.
Even then, like even if that isn't your thing, at least I have like 500 like creative wrestlers. Like I filled up all those slots with like a whole bunch of real wrestlers, and like if you have like this Fire Pro game that's just your avatar, that just seems like nah.
Yeah, it's. I'd advise you try the demo just so that you can get a feel of what it is, but I would not advise you buy this game. It's terrible.
I haven't really tried mini games at all. I mean, my hooligans got like the new NBA game. That was pretty fun. Then apparently they're going to get like the Resident Evil game, but I haven't tried that either. So I really can't like review any games either. But
the WWE game's coming out in a few weeks. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that actually comes out on the 30th. I'm actually looking forward to what you told me.
I actually want to do another podcast this year. And don't worry, TF, we'll do this on the Sharpshooter. But I want to do another podcast this year where, again, we go over all the SmackDown games of the past, because I actually had a lot of fun doing that last year.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know if I probably can't just because, like, my PlayStation wires aren't here right now, but it would have been fun. Like, it'd be fun to go back and play some of those Xbox ones just for, like, reviewing sake and see what we can get out of them. But
yeah, that'd be fun.
Other than that, I'm trying to, like, think of anything else. I mean, you guys got anything? Yeah, you hear any good music lately? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, what do you guys think about that whole, like, Gangnam Style craze going on right now?
What?
I keep hearing about that. Well, Joe's been gone, so yeah, obviously I hasn't heard about it. But I keep hearing about it, and I looked it up, and I was, like, watching it, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
What's it called again?
I'm gonna wait. Oh, I want to get Joe's like reaction to this, like on air. I'm gonna link him to this video. It's called.
I don't know if I can watch it because it takes like 5 minutes to load.
Well, at some point we gotta get your reaction to that then, because this is like, it's just like this craze. It's like,
it's stupid.
What is it?
It's like some Asian guy like singing this crazy song, and it's just this crazy video, and it's kind of like that song like legitimately might be the #1 song in like the country next week, and it's like there's this dance in it. It's just become this craze. It's like insane.
So essentially, it reminds me of what's his name, that guy from American Idol, Will Hung.
No, this is a lot bigger than that. Like this is like
wow.
like on another level. This is like almost like
the new Call Me Maybe.
Wow, it's that big?
Pretty much.
This is like almost like Macarena level right now. Like, this is crazy.
This is the type of stuff I miss when I'm offline because I heard nothing about this. What's it called again, though? I keep like asking the name.
It's called Gangnam Style.
Wow, I have no idea what this is.
I personally think it's kind of stupid, to be honest, but it's kind of weird. Like, we used to talk about how we had like this weird sense of humor where we like find really random things funny, and now it's like that's the norm, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Like, I have no idea if you'll actually be able to view this, but I'm going to link this in here anyways. It has like almost like 500 million views on YouTube. Like, that kind of shows you how like crazy this is right now.
I will think to open this, but it's probably going to take a while for it to even like open the page. So,
give it a try. I'll tap dance here on the radio to entertain viewers, listeners. While
I load this, I'm trying to think of like anything else I can mention.
Well, I want to actually talk about what I just said. Like, it's weird that to me that we used to like have this like sense of humor that is like so. We considered it to be like way different from like the norm, and now it's like everybody like. It's like they just like. It's like random humor has become like the norm, but it's like a lot of it is stuff I don't really find funny, but it's like, I don't know.
It is kind of weird. I mean, it's kind of like we were like before its time or something. We found the stuff before its time, and now everyone finds all this random stuff funny, and I mean, you even see it online, like all the different things that people kind of like pass around online. It's like, those are the type of things that we were doing years ago and thought was funny, and now all of a sudden, like, now everyone else thinks it's funny, and we're just kind of like...
It's like Rickrolling. It's like, that's a couple of years ago, but, like, Rickrolling is, like, something that we would have invented back in, like, 2003 or something if we had YouTube back then.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to me, too, after... I think this is a show that didn't even actually make air. I might be wrong, but we talked about, like, how, like, the nerd culture has kind of become the in thing, and you kind of talked about, like, that used to be us, now it's kind of like, now everyone's kind of a nerd. So it's kind of like, it kind of goes that way too with that.
So in a way, we're like ahead of the curve. More people should listen to our podcast because we're like predicting the future here as we go along.
Well, you were ahead of the curve by a long time because you always found that in humor funny. I remember you came up with like this wrestling character idea you had, like Mr. Akio, that even at the time I didn't get, but like
I remember that.
It's a hilarious like character. I can't even remember anything off the top of my head. I just can remember like really really random like.
Yeah, you'd like walk out and hand a fish to someone or something.
There's like a vignette too. You had like this vignette idea where you like there were cats in there. I don't remember anything about it. I just remember like this random stuff and like this clock in there. He wore like this top hat or something like that.
That'd be like a huge hit these days.
It probably would. It'd probably get like a 10,000 views or 10 million views. 10,000. I'm still waiting for that video. I don't know if it's going to load yet. I unfortunately do not think it will.
Oh well, you'll hear.
After the show, I think after the show you should do what TF suggested and like clear your cookies and all that.
I'm definitely going to clear everything out. I mean, I should have done that earlier, but I just really want to get online first.
We're just glad you're here, to be honest. I mean,
yeah.
For all you know, that could have messed everything up.
At least everything seems to be working well outside of that, so it kind of just gives me hope that maybe it's just like still kind of adjusting in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I'm just like you guys said, I'm just glad to do the show. I just really want to get on and do that. That was like my main prerogative was to get on and do this show. I mean, like, just to show like everything's important to me in a sense, but like I know how much you guys look forward to the show and I look forward to the show, so I always try to like move mountains and stuff to get on before the show that way, because I hate like leaving you guys like stranded here, like not knowing what to do, and like our listeners stranded, not knowing not to expect a show. So
it is pretty disappointing when we get on and there's no show.
Yeah.
It was like that last week because we didn't even know where you were.
Yeah, I think I sent a message to you after then, or did I even send a message? I don't even remember last week. I remember this.
You said that the internet wasn't working for you at all for days.
Yeah,
because you said it came and they made it worse.
Yeah.
What did they do to make it worse, anyways?
You know what? I wish I could tell you, but again, it's all outside work, and like I don't follow them around outside, so I have no idea what they do. Maybe I should follow them around outside.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, be like, what are you guys doing out here? Maybe they're like sitting, like my friend Brad talked about his cable people. Maybe they're sitting there like eating a sandwich or something instead of like doing their work, and then they're like plug a wire, and they're like, oh, here you go, it's working again. And it really doesn't. Maybe that's how they make their money. But, well, I don't think they charge for that. But maybe that's like how those maintenance guys make their money. They're like, well, they'll keep sending me out here, so they have to pay me more or something like that.
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I feel like if I were there, I could get it to work somehow before they could, just because I'm like really like.
5-year-olds could probably get it to work before they could.
Just because I always find a way to make things work, even when they make no sense.
Part of your random sense of humor. I mean, that's where it comes from. You're just like good at when things make no sense, you make sense out of them.
That and I don't give up easily.
I don't give up easily either.
You're a very persistent man, Chad.
Yeah, there you go. You are.
Yeah. It's like when you're persistent, no matter what you do, even if you're like trying these crazy methods, something is bound to work eventually.
Well, hey, you should take that advice. I know it's kind of a no subject, but that's kind of advice you should use with the women. Be very persistent. Keep trying different methods.
Just try a bunch of random stuff, like maybe popping out of them at grocery stores or something.
Hand them a fish.
Hand them a
Popping
fish.
out in the produce aisle.
Yeah, like,
what was the thing you say on Don Knotts, like popping out of like the produce aisle and asking me if I wanted to buy some peaches or something?
I remember that. That was like 2007, something like that. It was like Don Knotts like going up to you in the produce aisle. He's
So
like,
peaches, son, or
hey son, do you know where I can find the peaches? And he like yelled, peaches!
I remember I actually linked you to a video that had like David Hasselhoff in the produce section. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
That was an amusing video. It's for that train song. I forgot the name of it there.
This show's all over the place tonight.
It is, but it makes me laugh at least.
Well, I think unless you guys have any more topics
very
to
random
talk about-
return.
Yeah, it is a very random return, but I think unless we have any more topics to talk about, we should jump right into 5 random questions.
I am good to go with 5 random. But I really like this podcast has gone by so fast. I've had fun with it. It's been fun again.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's just been fun talking to each other again.
Yeah, it has been fun getting on here. I mean, it's kind of been I don't even know. It's been like
no one knows what to say at this point. We're all tongue-tied.
I think we're just like trying to get used to even being here and in general.
We'll have a more professional show next week.
We never have a professional show. What are you talking about? The show's never professional. Our show is always all over the place, and that's what makes it great.
Somewhat. I actually go out of my way to make it professional sometimes.
I definitely think, with the format and stuff we do, I'm just talking about, like in general, we always go off the cut. Usually it's me doing that, I admit, but
Yeah.
Kind of makes it more fun that way when you just go off the custom. Like you said, like we talked about like the show that didn't go. We talked about how it was just like us talking to each other. That's kind of the fun of it all.
It's funny, like, we actually, like, talked in depth on our last show that didn't record about, like, this new format change that we were going to be doing, and we haven't mentioned that once tonight, even though we just kind of went into this, like, knowing that was the new format. But if we do have any listeners that are actually listening to this that were fans of the show before, they have no idea what's going on. They, like, expect us talking about, like, The Rock beating up burglars and stuff like that.
No, there really isn't a lot of news, I don't think. I mean, that's kind of the hard part, is that some weeks there's just nothing to talk about in the news. There's like, it's all the
Not that you'd know.
Yeah. What?
Not that you'd know what's going on in the world.
Well, no, but I do watch the news. I mean, like, obviously, I told you guys about that LAX gun thing I heard about, but, you know, to me...
A whole lot of political stuff that we don't need to be talking about here.
Like, that's the big thing right now is politics. And it's not that it's not important. It's just that it really doesn't, you know, it's everyone's viewpoint. It's just... You know, we like to talk about more fun stuff here on the show. Like I don't know.
When we do talk about politics, we talk about stuff like Obama meeting with pirates.
There we go. Or Chad running for president, making the Pancake Boat Podcast the official American podcast.
The official American podcast.
There you go.
It's like we have the American bird, now we have the official.
There you go.
Alright, TF, save the show with 5 random questions.
Okay, wow, I feel like I've had this forever, like waiting for them to do this, but all right. I guess I guess I'll let. I'm trying to think who I should even let go first. I don't even remember who went first last time. It's been so long ago.
Let Chad go first. Let him go first.
All right. Since you said that, I'll let Chad go first. So I'll ask you first with Chad with question number 1. If you could erect a giant statue of anyone or anything to be prominently displayed somewhere in the middle of your current hometown, what would it be and why?
I know what it would be already. You didn't have to say it.
I'm going to go with Lucy Hale.
I knew it. I knew that was going to be it.
Because, hey,
That's kind of funny. Okay, her having a random statue of herself up in Maine, like in this town.
Welcome to Caribou, Maine. There's like a big Lucy Hale statue.
Everyone would think that she was from there or something.
Yeah, they probably would think that. As far as like my explanation goes, I mean, hey, she's Lucy Hale. She deserves a statue. Do I even need more of an explanation than that?
This is kind of... What happened to you? Sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh, what did you say, Chad?
I'll let you answer now. Talk about the statue you have up of me.
I was gonna like kind of go there in a sense, but like, does it have to be in our town? Like,
yeah, it's be in your town. That was the question.
No, that's why I was making sure. Like, it had to be, but see, I was gonna say like I would erect kind of a statue of all of us in Chicago, like because of our classic moment. But since it has to be in my town, I'm gonna have to make something different. But what would I make a statue of? You know, just make a giant statue of Taylor Swift for the heck of it. It's like California. There you go.
That could actually exist at some point.
So, yeah, you never know. Like to me,
is she from California?
No, but I'm just saying. Like, I mean, if
Oh.
Hollywood, you never know.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of like some good California celebrity, but there's a lot of celebrities in California. I think it'd be amusing though, if like you're flying over a plane, you see like a giant Taylor Swift with like her guitar, like maybe it plays music too. It like kind of plays out her song, and you're like flying over in a plane, flying down from California.
Playing music, that would actually be awesome if there was like the statue and like the guitar moved and like her hand moved down the guitar.
There you go. You could do stuff like that. See, it'd be like a very
that would be awesome.
Interactive statue, kind of like robotish in a way, but it doesn't move or anything. It just like stands there speaking and like welcoming people to California while singing songs. To me, you know, if anything, if I could pick like where it would go, I'd probably put it like in Universal Studios. Like when you come like to California, you see like Universal Studios like in the back, in the very bottom, and you see like Taylor Swift's statue there. I would say Disneyland, but I really see it more as Universal Studios, since that's more kind of like a modern movie theme park and, you know, music theme park.
That answer seemed very random to me, but I think you made it awesome by having like it sing and stuff.
Exactly. To me, that would just be fun.
Animal statue.
I mean, I remember like one time I was like leaving Universal Studios and I had like Hilary Duff playing. So for like years ago, I would probably just pick her for the heck of it, just to relive that moment for like playing her.
I would have too.
That would be like
if it were years ago, I'd insist in like I would insist that they build a Hilary Duff statue in every town.
All right. Question number 2 is your turn to answer first, Joe.
Okay.
How would you feel if a girl you had been chasing for months finally displayed interest in you, and after really hitting things off and dating for a few months, she confided in you that she had only made the initial move on you because one of her friends dared her to? Keep in mind that the reason her friends would have dared her to do this is because she had initially had no interest in you and had completely ignored any of your advances.
This is actually a good question. In a sense, I think, considering that she stuck with it after that, I think I would probably be okay with it just because yeah, it'd be kind of a crappy reason at first. Kind of reminds me of like a movie where that kind of happens and you kind of have like that. But, like, usually it's a guy that gets like a dare, but or they bet like.
He's all that.
There you go. Or like Drake and Josh, I was like watching an episode where they did that too, where like Drake had to like ask out more girls than Josh, and he asked out this girl he really liked, and she like had to like bake her for kids.
Who actually was Lucy Hale.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that, but I think I remember I heard she was on that show, but I didn't really like pay attention that was her. But,
on one episode actually, what's her name, Diana Agron from Glee was actually on an episode of Drake and Josh too. I noticed.
Really?
I saw like a lot of celebrities that were on there. Like,
yeah, she was like,
yeah, it's funny. I bet we like saw a lot of people on there that went on to like become big stars, and we never would have even known back then.
I think Lucy was on Ned too. I think I seen like an episode with her where she like randomly.
She was, and she was on Wizards of Waverly Place too.
That I remember too. So, yeah, she's been on like a lot of shows, but yeah, I think I would be okay with it in a general sense, just because like eventually, obviously, it really worked out. So now I think if it had been the other way, where it was like it didn't work out, she like did it once and she was like, okay, I don't want to date you anymore, then it'd be kind of like a big issue. But other than that, I really don't have too much of a problem with it. I mean, in a sense, she really didn't know me at first. At least now, if she knows me and confides in me with this information, she obviously must care about me.
That's a good answer, a good way to look at it. What about you, Chad?
I agree with that. It's like it would be a little disappointing that you'd. I guess it might be a little disappointing that she didn't like consider you good looking or whatever. But I mean, looks aren't everything, and considering that she did stick with you and it worked out, it would seem that she really does seem to like you. So I mean, at the end of the day, it means more that people like you for who you are than like what you look like, or whatever kind of impression you give off. So I mean, I would totally stick with her, and I'd be okay with it, because honestly, there's probably a lot of girls out there that we probably wouldn't even really, consider to be like girlfriend material at first either. But then I mean, when we get to know them, maybe they would be. So I mean, looks can be deceiving.
That's true.
So yeah, I'd stick it out with them.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think that's a good way of looking at it.
Definitely an interesting question. I like that one just because it was kind of like like I said, it reminded me of a movie, but with like us in it. So it was kind of a different kind of spin.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Oh well, thanks. Move on to question number 3 now, and it's your turn to go first, Chad. If for whatever reason you were the owner of a television network and had the ability to write the most ridiculously bad sitcom idea you could come up with to air on a rival network, what would the show be about?
I would make Joe the star of it.
I knew you would go there. I knew that was coming.
I was joking, but I might actually do this just because it sounds hilarious. I think I would put Joe in a show called Kicking It with Gerald.
Kicking It with Gerald.
I would have him play this character named Gerald, who they like think of him as like this cool guy. And he like tries to act cool. And he tries to act like he's like this 90s like cool kid or something. Hey, I'm Gerald. You can come kick it with me. Something like that. And I would have like Sinbad play like his
Oh man.
And yeah, I would like have it be like his adventures with Sinbad. Like I would make Sinbad like his principal.
Sounds kind of awesome, not bad.
Actually, yeah, I would make Joe like this troublemaker, and like, make Sinbad his teacher, who's like always like shaking his finger at him and stuff. And they would have like this like Zach Morris, Mr. Belding like relationship, but they're always fighting, but they're friends too. And I would like give Joe some other friends too, who would just be like these totally random, like, stereotypes characters from, like, the 90s, like the ditzy California blonde. And,
Wow.
yep. So that would be my show that I would give to another network. It would be Kicking It with Gerald, starring Joseph Urdia.
Wow.
And he would have a catchphrase too. He would say, "Get your butt out of my face."
I don't think I could yell it like that, but I definitely can see the catchphrase there.
Say the line, Joe.
Get your butt out of... See, I can't yell like that. So that's not gonna happen. It probably makes it even better just if I can actually do that.
Yell, just say it. And remember, it's not your, it's yo.
Get your butt out of my face. See, I can't do it right.
That was pathetic.
It was pathetic.
That just makes the show better.
It
So.
does. My acting would make that show.
No, it's like this loud laugh track and like applause noises every time he says it too.
Oh man. How do I even top that?
That would be like new dynamite.
You don't have a top. You have to make it worse than that.
What?
Well, that's the point. Like you're trying to make like as bad of a show idea.
No, I said how would I top like it being like the potential that show had? How would I top that idea? Is what I meant. But
I don't know. I mean, that show kind of sounded interesting to me in a way.
That's
I mean,
what
I'm
I'm
sure
saying.
other
Like,
people would think it was bad.
how would I like top that? Like that idea is so great. How would I top that? But I kind of want to make like a new Full House with like you, Chad, and our friend Clark. Like
Okay, that would be bad.
Yeah, the idea of like you like all three of you have like these celebrity wives and like I picture Chad. I guess I would just go with like a celebrity example like Lucy Hale. I picture like Tiff like a Taylor Swift kind of like the country girl, and Lucy's kind of like the fun girl, and then like Clark would have like this rebellious girlfriend. I'm trying to like think of a good comparison for like an actor, but like an actress, but essentially you three would live in a house, and one of you, I think I would have TF have like kids, and like Clark would always be influencing the kids to do these hectic and bad things to like Chad just because he's like angry and just because they would get in fights all the time like they did in Chicago. I don't know, like the potential to me of this show just mirroring reality with like you guys living in this big house, except it's like a more like sinister version of Full House where like you guys you guys like pranking each other like badly because you're like annoyed by living with each other. I don't know.
This actually sounds like a good show to me.
Hey, what?
This actually sounds like a good show to me, though.
Sounds like a good show.
It does to me. I don't know how TF feels.
I would watch it.
Would too.
I guess. I tried to make it like... Well, I think the question was ridiculous. Like, to me, this would be kind of ridiculous. Like, all three of you living in the same house and like having these crazy celebrity girlfriends who probably...
I was kind of thinking of it as more something that you wanted to fail badly, so it would like look bad for the network. Like,
yeah.
Something I wanted to fail bad.
Honestly, those things probably would fail badly, though. I mean, good shows fail bad these days.
In terms of failing bad, let's see. I think I would make myself like a celebrity roaster, and I would have you guys like be my apprentices. But I would like an episode would be devoted to me like roasting people. And considering like we've talked about this on the show before, I think if you wanted something to purposely fail bad, you would have me like off the cuff roast people. Maybe it'd be like a punk where we like roast people and they don't even know what's coming. like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like a random celebrity, but like roasting Donald Trump or something like that. The idea of it sounds horrible.
You'd probably start roasting you on there.
See, to me, this would be a purposely bad TV, and I could see it kind of taking off in the sense of it being train wreck. But like you said, ridiculous. That is pretty ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
that is pretty ridiculous. I like how both of our train wreck shows involve you, Joe.
I didn't want to put myself in it, but then I was like, if you want a show to be bad, you probably do it. Like, I don't want to insult you guys. You guys would probably be pretty good on the show, but me, that's like perfect fodder for a ridiculously born to fail show.
And I put you in like a UPN 90s like sitcom, which like everybody always talks about those shows being terrible, like the Homeboys and Outer Space. That's like how I picture your show.
I think of like what was that show like Monisha or something like that.
Yeah, Monisha. Actually, that was pretty successful.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because they used to do like this network for kind of like the old BET or something like that, only with like sitcoms and stuff.
Pretty much. I think Moesha was like the only hit they even had outside of like SmackDown.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll move on here to the next question. I can't believe we're already question number 4, but
wow.
Here we are, and it's your turn to answer first, Joe. Question number 4: how would you react if your 2 Pancake Boat Podcast co-hosts were throwing you a birthday party, and as a joke purchased you a large buffalo piñata, put you into a blindfold so you could try to break it open, and after hitting it several times, you took off your blindfold only to see an angry raccoon jump out and begin attacking you while we looked on in horror.
What the heck?
I would be well, obviously I'd be attacked, so it's like hard to say how to react. I mean, I'd be probably calling for you guys to help me, and you guys would probably be sitting, like, Chad would be standing there laughing at me, like, getting attacked by a raccoon before he, like, finally comes and saves me before it's too late. But,
before it's too late, like, he kills you?
Oh, yeah, he's attacking me. I mean, you can all the blood loss, it's a raccoon, you never know.
The blood loss.
If he's attacking me, I'm obviously, like, probably bleeding. He's probably, like, biting me or scratching me or something.
I don't think a raccoon attack would be that bad, but I could be wrong.
You never know how. What if he, like, cuts me, like, in a vein or something, and, like, pouring out? See, you're making me think these, like, gruesome thoughts here. Don't make me do that, but I would be horrified by this, to say the least.
I think this question went a lot darker than TF expected.
Now I'm imagining, like, us accidentally killing Joe on his birthday. Death by raccoon.
that would,
way to go.
That would be a like, for that sitcom idea or the show idea. Like, episode, that would be a ridiculously bad idea to do for a sitcom show. But yeah, I think I would be horrified by this. I probably would be angry at you guys. Like, this raccoon attacks me after it's like showing me hitting this buffalo piñata or whatever. Which is actually kind of comical though. I probably would applaud you for, like, this buffalo piñata. We do have piñatas, but I've never seen, like, a buffalo one before.
Well, I'm afraid of buffalo, so I can automatically tell you I would not like this. So before the raccoon even came out, I'd be mad at you guys because I do not like buffaloes. I don't know what it is about them, but I just
well maybe TF would be, obviously it's a piñata, so TF would be like, hey, you get to beat up the buffalo because you don't like them.
That's true, but yeah, I still remember when TF and me went to the zoo in Chicago and we saw, like, those huge buffaloes, and I was like freaked
a
out.
bison or something. It was so big.
I was freaked out by that. You remember that?
I remember that. It was hilarious to me though, because I'm, like, recording it in the distance, and we were both saying, I wonder if it got mad, if it could bust through this fence.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. I was like
up on some hill.
But yeah, once the raccoon came out, I would be like, why have you guys done this? Why have you betrayed me?
Yeah, you gotta say with emphasis. Why have you done this?
But obviously it wouldn't be our fault, because we'd be looking on in horror, like wondering what happened and, like, why a raccoon was in there.
Oh well, I thought you put the raccoon in there.
No.
Putting a raccoon in a piñata.
Obviously it, like, came from Mexico, and something happened along the line where, like, they accidentally put, like, a hungry raccoon in there.
Wow, I have no idea how I would respond to this. I think I would be mad at you at first because I would think that you did do it on purpose, but then I'd be like,
You would beat me down with the stick or whatever.
Yeah, I'd make you guys into the piñatas.
I think when I think about it more, I'd be kind of like just being realistic here. I know this is, like, kind of a joking question, but being realistic, I'd be like, why are you guys just watching in horror? Come, like, help me or something like that. It's like sitting there watching in horror.
I'd probably, like, walk off angrily at this. It's kind of a funny situation to think about.
How would you walk off angry at a raccoon, like, attacking you?
Well, once you got it off, like, I hit the buffalo piñata, and then the raccoon comes out at me and attacks me, and I, like, throw it off, and I, like, storm off angrily.
I think that thing would probably be chasing you if it was that angry. Or maybe actually, what would be a good counter thing is you throw it off on your Pancake Boat Podcast members because you think we did this, and you're like, screw.
Well, at least I have a stick since I was hitting the piñata, so I could, like, use the stick to, like, bend it off.
This is a very in-depth question. I like how it became like this in-depth question.
Oh, man. Well, the last question of the night, I'm going to kind of reprise something that we did, the last show we did, which never actually came to be, and it was actually, I can't take credit for this, like, Chad actually came up with this idea, and I thought it was something that we kind of might want to explore a little more for, the last question, just because I thought it was so fun, so I do appreciate the idea, Chad. I really wish that we could have, like, somehow saved that, because I did think that was, like, some of the best questions, that we had on here, but
that one especially, because that was so fun, like, hearing, like, what TF would do as Larry Tate, or, like, what John would do as, like, I forgot who you even got, but, yeah, I'm excited for this.
I remember TF got like was that guy's Max from
You got Theo from the Cosby Show and Max from Wizards of
Yeah.
Waverly Place.
I remember that because they're like, don't try anything with Alex.
You got like Ted. You got like Ted from Scrubs.
I do remember that too.
I don't know
All
if
right.
mine can live up to those, but here goes. We'll see how it goes. So
Did you go 4 weeks too?
I went with 3 because I wasn't sure if like 4 would be a little too long. I don't even really remember if you did 4 weeks. Did you do 4 weeks, Chad?
I did 4, but 3's good.
Yeah, I did 3 because I wasn't sure. I didn't want it to go too long, but I believe it is
Chad.
My turn.
Chad's. Yeah, your turn to go first. So for question number 5, you go first, Chad. And question number 5 is, and this is really, I'm asking both of you obviously because you're both going to answer this, but if the two of you were somehow able to be transported into the TV world for 3 weeks each week playing a different character in a different TV show, with the catch being you had to absolutely stay in character so the other characters on the show wouldn't discover you were an imposter, or you would be stuck in that television series' world forever. What are some things you would do to portray your character realistically, and what are some things you would do for fun as your character? And for week 1, Chad, you would be Keith Partridge from the Partridge Family.
This sounds awesome. Let's see. I would like go along with like the Partridge Family, like singing, because this to me like actually sounds like living out a fantasy, to be honest. Like I would love to be like a teen idol in the 70s, and I'd like go around like with them, like singing like I Think I Love You and all those songs. That'd be really fun. And since I am Keith Partridge, I have a bunch of ladies after me too, so that sounds like another perk I'd enjoy. So I think I'd live out the week, and I'd be very tempted to hit on my sister, Lori Partridge, but I would hold back from that and just kind of like do my thing and sing and enjoy the female fans.
That does sound really awesome. I'd probably do the same thing. All right, Joe, same question for you, obviously. But for week 1, you're Mr. Howell from Gilligan's Island.
This would actually probably be pretty interesting considering how Mr. Howell is. I would probably live it up and go over the top with it. I'd probably like, I hate to say this because it sounds kind of weird, but I'd probably be the opposite of me in that I'd like live it up and be really arrogant for some reason. Like just the idea of like being like him and being like really arrogant about myself on an island full of people would be like amusing to me.
Like making
You know what doesn't sound fun though?
What?
The fact that you have to be Mr. Howell, so you have to like kiss his wife for a week and all that.
That's very true, right? I like, even though like I don't know if he could like carry over like ideas and stuff like that, but I'd probably like walk around like the mayor from Sucker Punch in like this island type of way. Like walk around like I own the island. Just because I knew like I'm always playing a role for like a limited time, so I'd be like, I just have the most fun with it I could and like walk around the island acting like the mayor, like I'm this big spender and stuff.
Oh man, like picturing like Gilligan and Skipper reacting to this.
See like their reactions to this. Like I picture him with like these wide-eyed looks of shock.
Don't be too arrogant though. I mean, you don't want them to like throw you off into the ocean or something to like try to get rid of you.
Imagine like as a joke, because obviously I'd get killed if like by the wife if I didn't. But imagine like walking around like all those women by your side and like walking around like the mayor, like Gilligan and Skipper reacting to that. That's kind of how I would play it.
Oh man.
You could live worse weeks than with Marianne and Ginger.
There you go.
Oh man.
But like I said, I mean, there are a lot of downsides of having like your wife there, Mrs. Howell. Like imagine like you're in your hut one night and she's like, "Oh, honey, let's get some island action on." Or something.
I would be running through the island. I would be running through the trees, and that would probably be a good episode in itself. Me like running through the island.
Actually, it probably wouldn't be that out of character because I can imagine him being like a Mr. Roper too.
Running with this horrified look on his face. So it's like a spoof of the Blair Witch where they have like that camera view, and he's like in the trees hiding from his wife. Oh no!
All right. Now for your second week, Chad, you actually get Wilbur from Mr. Ed.
Oh, that'd be another awesome one. I actually think I almost said Mr. Wilbur. I actually think like Wilbur is like one of the most likable characters ever. So I'd be like really nice, and he has a hot wife too. So I would not complain about that. So 2 weeks in a row, I get to be like a ladies' man. Although this week would be kind of less so since I'd only have one girl, but she is really hot. So hang out with her for the week and go hang out with Ed and like go hang out in the barn and be like, "How you doing today, Ed?" And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm good, Wilbur." I don't know, just like talking to a horse for a week sounds really fun, and just I think I would really enjoy like living in the Mr. Ed world. I don't know if I'd want to do it forever, but for a week, it sounds really fun.
Yeah, that would be interesting though. I mean, like a talking horse. That just alone is interesting. But
I could manage living with my horse and my wife.
The simple life.
For your second week, Joe, you get a ladies. Well, I don't know if really a ladies man, but you would be a ladies man in this situation, and your character would be Jack Tripper from Three's Company.
Ooh,
That would definitely be an interesting. That would definitely be an interesting situation to say at least, because you kind of do have to play his role and pretend like obviously that you're not interested in these women to kind of keep your place there, but in a sense it probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either, because you'd be around these women all the time. You kind of have like the wacky Mr. Roper or Mr. Furley, either one. You have them there. You have like Larry to interact with. Actually, like picturing it, me interacting with Larry would probably be like this weirdly hilarious thing. If you want to talk about
like
show,
acting with EFD.
yeah, exactly.
Basically.
You'd be like getting into these schemes, and you have like these women there, and sometimes they're enamored by you, but other times they're like angry at you and punching you and stuff. So I think I'll probably like play this to the role of just Jack. Just like it's kind of hard to like be anything different because he's so iconic in that role, and it's kind of like I'd probably act a lot like he does, kind of like this kind of arrogant ladies man. I mean, he doesn't really act arrogant, but he's kind of like in that fun way where he's kind of like having fun with them. I'd probably do that. It'd be kind of fun though because it'd be a little different. Like in a sense, you'd be there with two women, but they're also kind of your friends, so you kind of like can interact with them in a friendly manner too.
Yeah, it sounds kind of awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, just being in any sitcom pretty much would be awesome. But
what about Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah, I don't know. There'd probably be some hilarious moments. I mean, they didn't all die, so
That's true.
anyways, it's your last week, the third week for you, Chad, and for you.
I'm sad because I think we could do this forever.
Yeah.
I know I could.
I kind of wish I'd done more now. I was kind of afraid about this dragging on, but now I kind of wish it did. But moving on to week number 3 for you, you would be Arnold Jackson from Different Strokes.
I was about to say this would probably be my least favorite one so far, but he does live in a huge mansion.
Because the thing you get away with as being a kid, too.
That's true. I mean, for one, I'd live in a huge mansion, and he probably has like all these like great toys everywhere, so that'd be really fun. And I'd like hang out with Willis because he seems like a kind of a hilarious guy to hang out with. And I'd always do that line too, just because that'd be fun to do. Like, what you talking about, Willis? I don't know. I just kind of hang out and be a kid and just kind of have fun. And I mean, he has a great family there, and Mr. Drummond seems like a nice guy. I just kind of like hang out there for a week and play with all my expensive toys and just kind of be Gary Coleman. It sounds fun.
You could have a lot of shopping to do too, because you have like all that money. You could go like shopping with people and buy more toys or buy.
And actually,
you're interested in.
That's true. And actually, I would do this like hilarious moment since like his sister on there isn't actually his sister. And to be honest, I wouldn't do this just for like the sake of perviness. I would do this for the sake of comedy. I would like be like Arnold and I'd like perv on him in the showers to see how like Mr. Drummond and Willis react to this. Like Willis walks in, like sees like Arnold. Willis walks in, sees like Arnold like looking into his sister in his like shower, and Willis is like, "Arnold, what are you doing?"
And you're like, "What you looking at, Willis? Say what you talking about? Like, what you looking at, Willis? This is my view, Willis. Get out of here."
And like Mr. Drummond finds out about this, and he's like, "Arnold, oh."
Oh man, wow.
It's gonna be hard to top that. You set the bar so high, Chad, with these questions that it's hard to follow up.
All right, Joe. For your third and final week, you would be Archie Bunker from All in the Family.
I can't even picture me in this role because he's pretty. Like, I guess I would probably have fun with it, kind of like Mr. Hal. I'd probably like live up to him and call people meathead and stuff. I would, in a sense, though, I'd be kind of like horrified, like Chad said, just because like Edith and stuff. It'd be kind of like, Archie, you coming to bed? Be like running. You can't run out that. You can't like run to an island here. You're like in the house, so I'm probably like trying to hide somewhere in the house or something.
I'm losing it at your Edith impression.
Archie, you in the bathroom? Yes, dear. I can't do Archie, but yes, dear. There you go.
Yes, dear.
There you go. Like, pretend I'm in the bathroom all the time so I can't actually do anything.
Oh, Edith.
What?
I'm in the bathroom, Edith.
The idea of interacting like this does sound kind of humorous. It's like I'm in there like reading a newspaper or something, like not even on the bathroom, just like in the bathtub or something, like reading the newspaper, relaxing, or like
reading a newspaper in the bathtub.
I wouldn't even like I don't drink. Obviously, I don't drink, but picturing like Archie Bunker, I can't like picture him drinking soda, but drinking some type of like drink in there, like in the bathtub, and like relaxing in there while like his wife is like thinking he's like in pain or has to use the bathroom really bad, and he's like,
what the heck?
I don't know. This went off on a tangent, but I would have fun with it. I would I would just have fun with it. I would like avoid any contact with Edith. It'd be like kind of hilarious in a sense.
Well, he probably does that anyway.
Exactly. So it'd be like normal. It's like the idea of like being like just picturing like Archie Bunker like in the bathroom, like hiding from his wife, pretending he's like sick or something, like reading a newspaper, or I don't know, some kind of like leisure activity in there.
Would you fight with the meathead?
I would. Like I said, I would take it. I would like since it's like a role I'm playing, I would be able to like overreact. It's kind of like a nice person actor like gets to play like the bad person role. They get to kind of like let out that side of them. I'd probably do that too.
You know what, TF? You only came up with 3 weeks, but you should actually come up with 2 more just for the heck of it. Just come up with some random characters because I want to do 1 more each.
Off the cusp of your head.
All right. Let's see. Who next? Chad. Chad. For your 4th week, you could. I'm actually gonna like scroll past like something and just see like some random show and come up with something. Let's see here. For your 4th week, you would be Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties.
Oh, that's a good one. I really loved Alex Keaton, so that would actually be a really fun role. Probably wouldn't be that hard to be either, really, because I mean, I used to be like a hardcore Republican like him, so I could just kind of like go back to that for a week and just kind of enjoy being Alex and just. He has a good family too. I mean, like the Keatons, they're like be kind of fun to like interact with them. Like the dad, like interacting with the dad seems kind of funny, and like I guess I'd like fight with Mallory to like keep up the charade.
I remember that college episode we watched at one time where like he and Mallory were like fighting, but he was like in an interview or something like that. And she kept like distracting him.
That was awesome.
What were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, I was just saying it'd be kind of fun to live there for a week and like mess around with Skippy and like play mind games with him. That'd be really fun. So yeah, I think I'd enjoy being Alex P. Keaton for a week.
All right. Your 4th week.
You know what else? I had to throw one thing in. I would go around calling people Doc just because I'm Michael J. Fox.
Doc. That'd be amusing, actually. You should still do that now. You should just like call one of us Doc or something like that.
No, I would like make up like this multiple personality, or I would like wake up from a dream and like the mom would come in and like ask what's going on because I'm yelling. And I'd be like, I just had this dream that me and this crazy old scientist went back to the 1950s in a DeLorean. And they'd be like,
they'd be looking at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
All right, I guess for your 4th week.
That was a mouse.
For your 4th week, Joe, your character is Doogie Howser from Doogie Howser, MD.
Okay, that would be pretty bad because he's the doctor. So me having to pretend to be a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
I would probably get like what happened?
Fake sick for a week.
Fake sick for a week. Play hooky, but playing hooky as a doctor would be kind of weird. You're like ditching everyone, getting someone to fill in. I probably would do that. I'd probably get like someone to. I'd probably like go around just like the hospital, like having fun while like I get like an intern or something or someone like beside me, like an understudy, and be like, here, you do this for me, and they're like doing all the work for me, and I'm like walking around the hospital acting like this big shot because I'm like this doctor.
I wouldn't get an intern to do like surgeries or anything.
It's either
they're probably more qualified than you, though.
That's what I was gonna say. It's either me or an intern, or maybe another doctor. Maybe I like go up to a doctor and be like, hey, can you take my place? And they're like, no, you gotta do it yourself. Me having to like grope to some person and like do their surgery just sounds horrifying. Like, hey, this person's life is on the line. We need you to save them. And I'm like, standing there, what? Like, what do I do?
It'd be kind of fun to be Doogie, though.
It would.
All right, guys. I'm very sad to say it. Those were the last two for the questions, but I thought that went over pretty well.
Awesome questions, man. Except the Buffalo. I don't like Buffalo.
Well, sorry about that, but I appreciate it anyways. It's been a while since I've done 5 random questions, so at least I was able to come back with a little bit of a vengeance. So.
Oh crap!
What?
We have not been recording.
He's making it up.
I please hope you.
I'm kidding.
I really hope you're kidding.
He's making it up. If we weren't recording, he wouldn't have done that right then. He would have been like, after the show, he would have like went to save, and he'd been like,
well, what would be the point if we weren't recording? Like the show, there wouldn't have been a show.
No, but I mean, like you wouldn't be doing that right now when we're like wrapping up the show. You wouldn't be like, oh, we're not.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be a show if we weren't recording. Like, why would I wait till we finish the show?
No, what I mean is you wouldn't be looking until like if we were recording or not until after the show, until like we were done.
Actually, you never know, because I like look around all over when we're like doing the show.
Oh, I didn't know that. I mean, to me, I kind of picture you like leaving that program open and kind of like talking on the show, and then like when we're done, you kind of like stop it and wrap it up. I'm not sure how it works though. I do not know.
I've checked that about 1,000 times during the show just to make sure it was still recording.
But see, then you probably would have said that a long time ago.
That's true.
I'm on to you. I know you too well by now.
Well, I for one am very glad that watch the show's gonna have not recorded after you said that. You like jinxed it. But
tonight was a really fun show though. It was just fun to catch up again.
Yeah, it was.
Not the most professional show we've ever had, but
it was made up for by the 500 questions and our ridiculousness throughout the show.
Yeah, and we'll get back into the swing of things too.
At least we got the show like on the road again. That's what matters.
On the road again.
It's not last week's show, but it's okay.
Who wants to hear about rock peanut burglars when you hear about like kicking it with Gerald, taking life?
That's right.
Gerald.
Kicking it with Gerald, my 90s UPN sitcom, starring Joe and Sinbad. Alright, everybody. I want to thank everyone for listening. If you managed to make it through this whole show, I thank you very much because you're a very good person. But I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Glad to get the show on the road again. Hope that anyone who does listen is happy to have it back, as happy as we are to be back, and hopefully next week we'll be here again, and we'll be able to kind of get this thing going again and make this a weekly thing again. It's something that's kind of really been missing, and hope you enjoyed the show, and take care and have a good one.
Enjoy your week, everybody. We'll see you next week. As always, don't you dare miss it.
Miss it.